All right, so one of the more recent comments just made by President Trump as he left the White House. I want to bring in for the last few minutes we have of this hour, really one of the best guests we've had on this show since we started when we talk about Ukraine. I'm not just saying it because he's on, Glenn Ignacio, who served in the Air Force Special Operations Command, but I know since you moved into the private sector, you've done a lot of work on Ukraine, and you know it really well. And you and I always talk. I'll pop up a map right now about what it's going to look like. So this was someday, right? What's the actual effect in Ukraine, right? How will we redraw the maps? What happens because of today?
Yeah. Hey, first, thanks for the compliment. Yeah, I literally talked to my teammates that are over there, both that are American and Ukrainian, about, hey, did you see this? Yeah, they watched this on live, and this is really the sense of what's happening on the ground. Is the troops that are on the east, the actual fighters, the warriors are in this. Anything that doesn't have U.S. support or weapons is going to impact them. But guess what? They're fighting for their country, and they're going to continue to fight. They are resolute. There is no question about that. The ironic thing, and again, I'm quoting them, is that the most interesting part is the people that are complaining about U.S. not supporting or whatever are the ones that are not fighting. So that was quote from them as far as their experiences on the ground, word for word. That is not interpretation. That is literally their words.
How do you read into that?
I read into it exactly how it stands today, is that people are starting to see that, Zelensky has changed his profile in the last 4 years. If you looked at it before, it was the begging, please help me, please help me.
Yeah.
And in the last four, it was like directing, I need this, I need this, I need this. So there is some loss as far as what Zelensky has had. And this, he has lost a lot of credit in this situation.
Yeah, I was asking someone that earlier, is there's frustration with him on the ground there? Like they're real frustration with Zelensky. Forget what they maybe think of Trump but they don't think Zelensky, some of these people you're talking to are managing this very well.
Yeah, and fighting it. So the average fighter, we talked about this all the time, the average fighter is 43 years old, and they have that draft that's 27. Actually, you got to register if you're 25. And even today, he thought he was coming up on a car crash. It was one of the guys being pulled in from the military and law enforcement that was trying to dodge this. And everybody came to his defense, because they were grabbing the guy off of Kyiv. He should have been drafted. He should have been in the fight. And there was a riot against that. So there's a lot of things going on that most people don't know about.
So, no, and you've brought up a lot of them to our attention. That's why I said what I said there a few minutes ago. So what now? You said they can keep fighting. For how long? So what are those guys saying?
Yeah, I think that warfare, at least as far as the equipment, everything, that's going to still continue. I think that there's going to be certain milestones and objectives that are going to be put in play that Trump is going to control. But cutting them off, I don't think is the play. I believe that that's going to be said publicly to influence. But the troops are still going to get the weapons they need. They're not going to let the Ukrainians die. That's his focus.
But the idea that Europe could pick up some of the slack from us on that front is not something they're thinking about, or?
They love it, but there's no way for NATO Europe to actually respond quick enough to take the gap of the United States. And that behind the scenes, realistically, they know that, and it's going to continue to supply the weaponry. But NATO and Europe's going to have to pick this up in case the threat, that gap, has to be filled. And so that would take many months. So the weapons and so forth still going to come from the U.S. European NATO, I don't think they can handle the gap in this meantime, and that is a concern. Absolutely.
All right, Glenn, like I said, good insights all around, but it's particularly tonight from the front lines, literally, in Ukraine. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate it, as always.
You bet.
All right, so Blake Berman is coming up, obviously.